Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe in these trying times of our nation. First, I want to apologize for not being as active as normal for the last couple of weeks. I actually have a very good reason. A week and a half ago, I woke up to moderate chest pain that slowly increased. My wife took me to Piedmont Athens Regional, where, thank God, ruled out a major heart attack. However, after given 2 nitro pills and low-dose aspirin, my heart rate fell from 119 to 30. I looked up and noticed a bunch of medical people standing over me. I also noticed AED pads placed on my body. My wife told me that I said I didn't feel well, laid back, and drifted away. After a day in the hospital and numerous tests, they sent me home, stating everything came back negative. I had my stress test yesterday, and the results also came back negative. So once again, I overcome adversity, and I can only attribute this to prayer and faith. So thank you to everyone that prayed for me and checked on me. You have no idea how much that means. I was silent because I needed to focus on my health and find answers. I'm sure everyone can understand and respect that. So now to the topic of this video. I want to first offer my deepest and sincere condolences to George Floyd's family for their tragic loss. Watching the videos and seeing the pictures absolutely burns my blood. He didn't deserve to leave this earth in that manner. So who was George Floyd? When I first saw the video with him being escorted in handcuffs, I thought, oh my God, that man is huge. I did some research and some reading about him, and yes, he was a big guy. He lived life to the fullest while helping others. Before moving to Minneapolis, he lived in Houston, Texas. He excelled in football and basketball while he was in school. And in 2007, he was charged with armed robbery and convicted of 5 years in prison. After his release, he began to re-enter society. However, was able to find gainful employment in Houston. So instead of reoffending, he left and moved to Minneapolis, where he found work. He was a truck driver for a company and a security officer for a Latin American restaurant. He never let his past dictate his future, and the people that knew him loved him. On May 25th, Mr. Floyd was arrested and charged with possession of a counterfeit $20 bill. Moments later, he was dead. Every video I have watched showed no active resistance. Regardless if he was, there is no police academy in the nation that teaches that kind of restraint. Matter of fact, the Clark County Sheriff's Office response to aggression policy calls the head and neck region the red zone, or an area we don't touch to restrain an individual. Law enforcement officers are also taught that once the resistance stops, the use of reasonable force also stops. It didn't happen here. Subsequently, Derek Chauvin was arrested and charged with his murder, and 3 other officers were terminated. So, why all the violence? Tens of thousands of law enforcement officers have verbalized their disgust of this incident. Each one of them stated, the same as I have, this is not how we were trained. So I ask again, why all of the violence? Because of the actions of 4 officers, rioting began. Businesses being looted and burned, people being severely beaten, and now the National Guard has been activated in nearly every state. Reading about the life of George Floyd, do you think he would approve of this? If something should happen to you, would you want this to happen? I believe the answer would be no. Now, before you start sending me hate messages, I didn't say I don't believe in protesting. That is our First Amendment right, for which it states it is the right of the people to peaceably assemble. However, I do despise rioting and violence. This is not how we're supposed to get our point across. Engaging in criminal activity because of a criminal act does not solve anything. It only increases the divide. Yes, I said it only increases the divide. Every business owner that watched their life go up in flames didn't deserve that. Every person that was brutally beaten didn't deserve that as well. And I pray that all the parties involved are caught and brought to justice. Recently, participated in a forum with the Athens anti-discrimination movement, and the question of racism was brought up. Do I believe racism still exists? Absolutely. Racism has been around since the dawn of time. I myself have been a victim of racism growing up. I am Hispanic. Growing up in a predominantly white neighborhood, I was targeted many times. I have been called names like wetback, greaser, and spick. Was told to go back across the river. I had to walk my bicycle home many times because someone cut the tires. So I know a little of what it feels like. But rioting is not the answer. Pointing fingers at each other is not the answer. Breaking the chains of the past is the only answer. As a Marine Corps veteran, we are taught that everyone is the same. There are no black people, no brown people, and even no white people. There are only green. And members of the armed forces know exactly what I'm talking about. We trained as one. We fought and protected this nation as one. And over the span of my 10-year military career, I would have laid down my life for everyone I served with, regardless of their skin color. And now as a law enforcement officer, I would do the same for both the agency and the community. When our nation was viciously attacked on September 11th, 2001, the American people came together as one. For several years, it wasn't a black thing. It wasn't a Hispanic thing. It wasn't even a white thing. It was only an American thing, and we were united as one. Sadly, we are no longer united, and that needs to change. Being one of the richest counties, it is also the poorest. As the cost of living increases every year, the living wage has not kept up. I remember being told that we are getting a 3% pay raise, but only to find out that our benefits were going up 3.1%. Athenians are having to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Convicted felons are having a hard time finding work because no one wants to hire them. They are individuals, just like George Floyd, trying to make a better life for themselves and their families. So how can we fix this without having to protest, without rioting, or without violence? As a voter, we need to take a good hard look at our elected officials and our current candidates. What have they done since taking office? What do they plan to do if elected, or even re-elected? Are they an effective leader? I was reading an article on the Fox News website, and this is so very true. It said, "The requirement of leadership is that watch over the people in your care." That's what soldiers want from their officers, it's what families need from their fathers, and it's what voters demand from their presidents. Here in Clark County, it's no different. It's what we demand from our mayor, our county commissioners, our school board, and even the sheriff. We shouldn't accept them traveling all over the world using taxpayer money to enhance their personal career and then say it's how we get information back to our departments. Now, not every elected official has done that. Only one comes to mind on that subject. As a sheriff's candidate, I may not be able to change the cost of living in this county, but I can change how things are done, or in the case of our current sheriff, not done with the sheriff's office. Looking at the video of Mr. Floyd's death made me think of when I was a sergeant at the Clark County Jail. I have learned that there are only 2 reasons why officers do things they are not supposed to do. Either they didn't know or they didn't care, both of which I can fix. They didn't care can be fixed by pointing them to employment opportunities outside the sheriff's office. Holding them accountable for their actions is key to the well-being of both the agency and the community as a whole. They didn't know is fixed by continuous training or even retraining. The current training programs are substandard at best. I'll be working on plans to dramatically increase the new deputy training program and develop advanced training to include individualized section training, i.e. the jail, courts, and the patrol divisions. A deputy cannot be effective in their job performance if they are not properly trained. A deputy cannot feel safe on duty if they are not properly trained. In addition to the advanced training, I will be reviewing the department use of force and de-escalation training, crisis intervention training, mental health survival training, and leadership training, just to name a few. I'm also going to look at the evaluation process of our new deputies. We have had new deputies pass their evaluations, turn loose to work solo, only to find that person wasn't ready. Jail training officers and field training officers will be held responsible for passing a substandard new deputy. Supervisors will be held accountable for passing substandard deputies on their shift. We have had deputies leave and take lower paying jobs with other agencies because of the lack of training and especially the lack of leadership. That will change under my leadership. For the inmates at the jail, I plan on creating a comprehensive re-entry program that is tailored to the inmate and his or her success in society. A successful re-entry should not stop at the release, but continue well after. I plan on partnering with various organizations and strengthening the existing relationships in order to bring down the recidivism rate. For the community, I plan on being transparent on all activities of the Sheriff's Office, particularly the jail. Community members are going to be advised when a major incident has occurred, the circumstances behind the incident, and any action taken, to include providing camera footage. We are going to be more involved with community events and outreach programs for our youth. Whatever we need to do to keep the youth of our future from becoming our next criminal justice residents, we will look at and implement. Under my command, I will be truly a working sheriff for the community and the agency, and I will expect my team to do the same. Finally, I want to talk about the protest last Sunday here in Clark County. I want to applaud everyone that showed up to protest and kept it peaceful. It showed that Athens is better than the rest of the nation. Now, I will admit I didn't go downtown that night. Like I said earlier, I was focused on my health. But I did watch as much as I could on social media. It showed that we can come together as one, make our voice heard, and do it safely. Great job, Athens. Sadly, there were also individuals that arrived with AR-15 rifles and stated they were here to protect the protesters. The protesters didn't need protecting. They were there to increase the tension, and it nearly worked. As for the sheriff stating on the Tim Bryant show that he didn't see a threat with them being there, any reasonable person can see these three people with assault rifles as a threat, and that is part of the problem we have. Thank you, Athens, for staying calm and peaceful during the protest. As a reminder, early voting ends this Friday, and the primary election is Tuesday, June 9th. If you haven't voted yet, I encourage you to do your homework before you vote. If you have voted, as I have, thank you. I will be having a celebration on Zoom June 10th at 6 p.m. Please go to my events section here on Facebook and register. I will also have it on Facebook Live as well if I can figure out how to do it. So come join us, help us plan the next step towards the general election in November, and also please bring your questions. These next 5 months are crucial in winning the sheriff's election. Your support is more important than ever. Please go to my website, take the time to review my platform, support us by getting the word out further, volunteer with the team to canvass neighborhoods and businesses, volunteer with fundraising, or donate to the campaign. On June 10th, we will enter a new election cycle. That means all contributions go back to zero. So I humbly ask that you consider donating again. Just go to Hare for Sheriff, that's Hare, H-A-R-E, the number 4, sheriff.com. Click the Donate Now button in the upper right corner of the page. And together, we all can turn ideas into action. Have a great night, and God bless each one of you.